Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to, as you've seen my welcome in numerous forms, email form and on the D2L site. Welcome to 7810 Educational Statistics. The course is being offered probably in a way that you may not be familiar with. We've got people, real people in a real space, in a real classroom, and we've got people online in real time, and we've got people who are watching the recordings afterwards. So there's no requirement to participate in real time, either in person or online, but it's an option that I offer anybody, and I encourage you to take me up on that offer, if that'll work for you time-wise. If not, there certainly won't be any penalty for just watching the recordings and following along later. If you're watching this as a recording and you're planning on participating in real time, either in person or online, probably what we'll end up doing a lot at the beginning of pretty much every class, and hopefully it won't take as long as it has tonight, but we'll probably have some technology fiddling to do. I'll ask you to do a couple of things. If you're here in person in real time, turn off your microphone and volume. If you are at home participating in real time, turn off your microphone unless you want to activate that to have a question to ask. I do want this to be as interactive as possible, so I will encourage questions, comments. If you're here, then we can just talk, and you may have to remind me if you ask a question for me to repeat that, because I can't get all the microphones for everybody to work at the same time. So any better? Awesome. Something's working. Okay, very good. Okay, perfect example of just things you just have to stop and fix in the middle of things sometimes, because technology has a mind of its own, and the gods are not always kind. Apparently, we've angered them somehow. Um, so participate in real time, or watch the recordings later. Again, I was about to say, one of the advantages of having the recordings, even if you participate in real time, is that you can go back and watch the parts later. What I plan to do, and I've taught this course in this format a few times now, and quite honestly, I've never been happy with it. I'm going to try a couple of things different this time. I'm going to divide the class lectures, and I hate calling them lectures because I don't like the word lecture much, but for lack of a better term, you know what I mean. I'm going to divide the class sessions into several different lectures, very small according to topic. And some of those lectures may be 3 or 4 minutes, some of them may be an hour. So I will try to keep a running document posted on the D2L site. I will start that after this evening. And one thing that I will try to do, but if not the same night, the day after we actually make the recordings, is I will send everyone an email with the URL to click on, and you can see the recording of these meetings. And again, I may have as many as 5 tonight. I don't know. We're going to kind of see how that goes. So I have several anyway. So that's where we're going. In the past, I have recorded the lectures just in entire classes. Like we have a 3-hour class. It's a little awkward. It's clunky because I can record things, but there are some technical limitations to this setup. One of them is that the recording doesn't have a pause button. So you get about a 15-minute break on live, on recording with nothing if you watch this. But I posted on your D2L site a listing of all the previous class lectures. I'm going to say, largely the same thing and present the same material the same way. I'll try to kind of organize and classify it a little better, though. But you've already got access to everything I'm going to say. So you can already, maybe you can even look at that if you want to. But so that's my plan. Are there any questions before we talk about the course itself? I encourage you to participate however you want to. You don't have to participate the same way every week. You can show up sometimes, you can watch the recording sometimes, you can log in sometimes, you can mix it up. You don't even have to tell me. I just kind of want, and I kind of get a general idea of kind of how many I can expect to be where. So that's where we're going, and that's kind of how we're getting there. I see more people are joining us online, so that's starting to work apparently. And again, we will continue to have technical problems. Just expect it, and we'll just kind of do our best. So, any questions about kind of the general overview and introduction to the process of the course? All right. So, what I'd like to look at is, have you looked at the syllabus? I know a lot of you have because you've told me that links don't work. So, I've done some revision to the syllabus, and I've made it where some of the links will work, some of the words are even spelled correctly. And I will continue to tweak on things. If you haven't seen the syllabus in the last couple of days, I've just made some revision to that. I will continue to tweak on the D2L content. There's still some work I need to do there. There's some ways I want to reorganize and the material and kind of make it a little clearer, help you find things easier, and add the links to the recordings and things like that. So this is a dynamic course. So let's look at the syllabus. And if you can pull that up on D2L, I will try to share that on screen as well. Oh, hang on, let me do. One of the other things about the technology, it is, what's the technical way to say it? Clunky. Okay, so I've got the syllabus there, and I've got where I like to, the way I learn, the way I listen to people, I do better if I can see them. So, like for right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to show myself a little box, but hopefully you can still read the syllabus there. If not, you can pull it up on your own D2L site. So I'm going to just kind of go through a few things here. And again, I won't overly insult your intelligence by reading this to you, but I do want to hit a few high points that'll kind of talk about where we're going in the class. Oh, and by the way, when I change topics and say I'm going to start a new recording, you may have to remind me to change recordings. I'll stop one and start the other. I also figured out that first time I taught this course like this a couple of semesters ago, well, several semesters ago now, is I assumed that when you stop the meeting, the recording stops. So the very first lecture is like an 11-hour lecture of mostly nothing. And then I got this nice little letter from the Office of Informational Technology that said, you're using up too much space. Well, that'll do it, So you may have to remind me to change over some things. I'm not very good at this. Anyway, so look at the syllabus. That's me, Don Good. And I have given you all kinds of contact information. My office, if you're here physically or or if you get to campus, my office is just around the corner from the classroom here. And that's WP is for Wharf Pickle. I know, funny name, but that's what we're called. 514, so I live and work around the corner. That's my office phone number. You've got my cell phone number. You've got my home phone number. You've got my email. You've got my Facebook address. I'm a very patient person, except if you tell me something like I didn't have any way to get in touch with you, I don't believe it. I'm going to have a hard time swallowing that. So you've got all kinds of ways to get in touch with me, and I will try to communicate with you the way that works best for you. And some people email, some people call, some people send me messages on Facebook. That's fine. If you want to friend me, I will accept. I will not ask to friend current students, but if you make a request, I will say okay to that. Hang on just a second. Let me make a little more of an adjustment here so I can see that. Okay. The texts. There are two texts, and we were talking about some material just a minute ago, but let me elaborate on that a little bit too. There are two texts that we will, honest to goodness, use the textbooks. One is called Imagine to the Enough Statistics. I don't know where they got that name from. By Whit and Whit. I don't know if you can see this in the small picture or not. It's in the 9th edition. Now, if you find an older edition, an 8th edition, maybe even a 7th edition, if you can find that for a nickel to use bookstore, just get it and use that. We'll have to make some adjustments in terms of the homework problems and examples, things like that. But for the most part, I'd rather you save a bunch of money and have to just remember to get the assignments on the right page than for you to spend, I don't know, how much does this cost? So 90 something, which isn't too bad. That's not much more than twice what it's probably worth. So, the Whit and Whit is one of the books that we'll use. As we get more into the course, we'll use Whit and Whit throughout. As we get more into the course, we will use a book called Using SPSS for Windows and Macintosh, Analyzing and Understand Data by Green and Salkind. We'll not be using this for a little while, but as we get more into, say, probably a third of the way into the course or whatever, you'll see this more and more. So, and this is currently in the 6th edition. Again, if you've got a 5th, or I've even used the 4th edition, I don't know, a few years ago, that we can make that work too. So it'll save you a ton of money to not buy the newest, buy the not quite newest. The other thing that you need, and there are a couple of ways to do this, and this is the part that I've already communicated with a bunch of you on email about, and that is SPSS. SPSS stands for Statistical Package for Social Sciences. It's a software program. And it's owned as of a couple of years ago by IBM. Now, you can get to that a couple of ways. The two ways I mentioned are essentially this. Hey, you can pay for it or you cannot pay for it. Well, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? The last option I talk about, I say it can be freely accessed at, and I give you a website, xen.etsu.edu. Several of you have already said that's been a problem. And quite honestly, we're still working some bugs out of that. You can get to it, but I've not found that to be the most reliable thing in the world. And if you need it, you need it. So I don't want to say you have to spend, what is the on the hub cost, $90 some, I think. I don't want to say you have to do that. You can get by with not if you can get this stuff to work, or if you've got access to it where you work or something like that, or a better deal, then that's fine too. But you need access to SPSS. Now the idea is that when we go through examples in class, the idea is for you to be following along and doing the same examples with me. Punch the buttons with me. Select the options with me. Don't just, I can watch that, I can do that, and you do it on your own, and you can think, I forget where to start. Well, if you've done that with me, you'll remember that. Now that presents some difficulties, so let me kind of make life further complicated. I don't know if this is an option for you or not. It would be really good if you had 2 computers. Or I'll give you some other options in a minute. But if you can watch class or the recorded lecture or whatever on one computer and use the other computer for SPSS. Now here's another option that's not quite that complicated. One of the things I do when I teach this class, in order for me to make sure if you're watching this at home in real time or on the recording, in order to make sure you're seeing what I want you to see, I keep my iPad. That's why you see me logged in twice. So I keep my iPad, so I know you're seeing what's on my iPad. So if you have an iPad, or you know, you can do this on a smartphone. I've got there's a Connect app on a smartphone that you can get to. So you can watch the lecture, quote unquote lecture, and watch the activities on some kind of device and use your computer to do the work following along with me. So it's meant to be an active class, even when you're watching the recordings where we're having real class. So keep up. Don't just kind of watch it. You know, I know you might have to fast forward through. Like you could have fast forwarded through the technical adjustments we were making a minute ago. That's fine. Don't get bored and fast forward through SPSS activities though. Follow along with me. That'll help. You know, once you do it, you can do it. But most of us, depending on what kind of learner you are, I can't just watch it and know how to do it. I've got to do it too. And I think most of us are that way. Any questions about the required materials, the text, or the statistical software? With Green and Salkind, there are several data sets that we will use, and I have included. I just emailed all of you this the other day. I have added to the syllabus a link to a video to where Dr. Lampley, another faculty member in our department, who is actually the program coordinator, he has put together I don't know, 20-minute or so video about how to get to this and use it. And I'm thinking, that's pretty good. That's better than I could have done. So he talks about accessing the files. So Green and Salkind has several files available with it, and you can, and he shows you the URL stuff to get to. So you can do it a couple of ways. You can download the files, which I suggest doing. You can download the files, just save them to your hard drive or a flash drive or something, and we'll access those on SPSS when we come to the particular parts of the lesson. Or the other, I just used your name, Dr. Lampley. If they have any questions about your video, they can ask you. Or you can yes, I was just saying, I was just talking about your video about getting to the SPSS on the website. So, so we're talking about how to get those Green and Salkind files. So you need to get access to those. I suggest you download them yourself. Although, nice guy that I am, I have put them on D2L. Now, I'm having some problems with that. That's one of the things I still have to keep tweaking about those files. They're not, for some reason, I can't always get them to work or not. And they're what? And sometimes D2L does not play well with others, as Dr. Lampley just said. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, that's... At least we're learning flexibility. So we have data files. Now, it was mentioned before class is that, gee, I couldn't get these to come up. That's because if you don't have it, they're SPSS files. They will not open anything except SPSS. So if you don't have that, then, yeah, you can't open the files. Some of you, or I should say, I have occasionally had students wanting to do the work in Excel. No, I'm really not okay with that. This is, you know, learning SPSS. That's part of our profession's software. That's the way we do things. So, you know, yeah, I know you could get Excel to calculate a standard deviation, but learn how to do it on SPSS. That's the part of the intent. Any other questions or thoughts or comments about the materials, the 2 textbooks, the software, the data files, all that stuff? I continue to invite you, when you find things that don't work or are not accessible, like on the D2L site, let me know and I'll double check. You're enrolled in one of 2 sections. I've got 2 sections together I'm talking to right now, and quite honestly, one of the D2L parts works better than the other does. If you're in 904, that's working pretty well. The other one, it's not right now, so sometimes you can find things, sometimes you can't. I'll not insult your intelligence by reading the course description, course purpose and rationale, and all that sort of stuff, or the prerequisites, or the relationship of the course to college and program philosophy and goals, or even the course objectives. However, if you're like me, when I get a syllabus, the first thing I try to turn to is what I refer to as the what do I have to do page. In this case, it shows up on page 3. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hey, gee, you don't have to do 5 things. Well, number 1, data analysis and reports. There are 4 of these. Okay, you got to do 4 things for the first part. Essentially, we're going to ask you to show us that you can communicate statistical analysis. APA stands for American Psychological Association. That's our writing style. I don't know if you've written. Most of you probably written stuff in APA before. Have enough of an idea about the style and the things like the weird capitalization rules that make sense if you look deep enough, but you have to look pretty deep sometimes. So, how to communicate statistical analyses in APA style, which is the way you're going to write your dissertation. So there are 4 of those. And 3 of those, I tell you, I want an APA report for this kind of procedure, and then the last one, you can pick whichever procedure you want to write up yourself. There is a descriptive statistics assignment. I'll say more about that as the course goes on. There are regular homework assignments. I think I have 11 picked out for this course, so you've probably looked at it and seen all the way up to HW11, and a midterm to final. And you can see the points and the grading scale. I've shown you what it takes to make an A, B, F, whatever. And I've put those in terms of both points and percentages. Got a bunch of resources in your syllabus, everything from technical help to counseling issues. Gee, a couple of pages of that. Okay, read the further notes. Let me just paraphrase the further notes. Do what you're supposed to and turn in what you're supposed to when you're supposed to. That's all. That's essentially all it says. I've got a tentative calendar. Doubt that we'll stick with the calendar, but we will go in the order of topics it says. Sometimes I won't get through a whole class session as quickly as I thought I would. Sometimes I'll go faster than I thought I would. If you've ever been in a classroom, you just can't tell. But we will go in that particular order. And then at the end, I've got a bunch of resources, and I know people don't look at these things. There are a couple things that I'll just kind of recommend out of hand, though. There's a book called, I think it's about the 5th edition now, Statistics for People, parentheses, who think they, parentheses, hate statistics. It's written by our friend Salkin, who wrote. It's one of the co-authors. And it's funny, it's informative, it's entertaining, honest to goodness it is. And students have told me they have had success with the 4 Dummies books, the Statistics for Dummies. There's 3 or 4 Statistics for Dummies. I think there's a Social Science Statistics for Dummies, for example. It's pretty specific. The other thing I encourage you to do, and I want you to help me add to this, I don't have a collection, I haven't started anything. If it is helpful for you to look for YouTube videos, and there's a bunch of them out there, for people to, I didn't really understand that t-test. I wonder if I can get somebody else to explain it to me. If you find a good YouTube video, tell us what that is. I am not offended. If somebody else can make more sense to you than I can, my job's just for you to get it, however that works. Matter of fact, you're going to help each other do that too. I am not offended in the least if the way somebody else says it makes more sense than the way I say it. So look for those videos, tell me what they are, and I'm going to keep a list of them. So help me start that collection. Likewise, on the syllabus, I should have said this, but it's a good time to say it now. If you look at the calendar part, I give you the reading assignments, except for tonight. Read those things ahead of time. Even if you don't understand them, read them ahead of time. Because if you read them ahead of time and your eyes at least kind of, glare over the words or the numbers on the page, at least when you're participating in class, whether real time or on the recordings, at least it's the second time you'll have seen it. And there's something about the second time that you see something, at least to me, that tends to make a little more sense than when I just see it the first time. So do the reading ahead of time. I've also given you the homework assignments and due dates for everything. Any questions? Otherwise, thus shall concludeth the introduction materials. Any questions here or at home for now? Okay, there will be questions as they come up, and that's fine. So just ask them when they do. Ask your questions when they come up. That's great.